Hello and welcome to my first video on this channel in a little bit. It's been 4 days, and I do want to apologize for that because I've been uploading like crazy on my gaming channel still, but I have left you in the dark a little bit, and that's mainly because I'm at my friend's house, so it's been hard to record content that isn't gaming and easy to record at while also still wanting to hang out with my friend. So I do get back on Sunday tomorrow, so I will be making more content then. But yeah, I did want to apologize for that. I also wanted to apologize for missing my episode on Wednesday. I was extremely busy, and then I came to my friends on Thursday, so I did have to miss my episode. One last thing before we get into the episode is I want to clarify something from last episode. Whenever I was talking about the Elimination Chamber, I did say Agent Peely was waiting on a specific person from his team, but it's actually a specific person from the whole island. It might be from his team, it might not be, but it's actually just a person from the entire island that he's hoping gets out. He's got a couple people that could work, but there's one person in particular. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So, starting the actual episode, we kick off with Marcy on the Work Weasels. Marcy is just like done. She's like super sad that Green Shadow's gone, and she knows if they lose at this point, she knows if they lose, she's next. Like, these two aren't gonna flip, and Scary Girl and Toph and Ezekiel. While she knows they're not really, or she thinks they're not really friends. She thinks they'll probably just team up and get Marcy out as an easy vote. So she is not very happy until she while crying, she leaves the lunchroom, and while crying trips over, falls, looks behind her, and she tripped over a log that had an immunity idol in it. It's the idol that was already played. When an idol's already played, obviously it goes back into being hidden again. And Marcy just found her idol. So she is extremely happy. But she's not going to tell anybody on the island because she can't trust anyone right now. Then outside of that, Ezekiel and Toph are getting a better friendship. Well, Toph's also introduced Ezekiel to Luz and Star. And while Luz and Star weren't big fans of Ezekiel at first, they're able to adjust a little bit. I mean, if they're able to be friends with Toph, they can be friends with Ezekiel. Because these two personality types and these two personality types are very different in general. Then what else on this? I mean, Ashley is still mad at Applejack. Applejack still feels bad, but there's not really anything she can do. Peter and Tails are both still working Applejack and trying to get Applejack more on their side. And then on the Crooked Crocs, Monica is still dying down her bullying, and Izuku is like noticing it, and he's kind of he's happy about it. But Jinx is really starting to be an asshole, like a lot more than normal, because she's pissed about the fact that over the past couple days, Jax has been hanging out with Dipper more. Monica's been being less rude. Her whole thing with Foxy, or turning Fritz into Foxy, got exposed. She's just not having a good time, so she's just kind of pissed. So she's been being especially an asshole, and Monica tells her to chill out, and Zuku's like, thank you, because she's calling Zuku Deku and yada yada. Meanwhile, Jax and Dipper surprisingly are getting along great now, which you wouldn't expect, but yeah. But that's pretty much it for the pre-challenge. This brings us to another big one, unlike Tug of War. This challenge is called Challenge 6, Multiversal Relay Race. In this challenge, each member of their respective team will go through a task suited for them and their abilities. They then must pass the relay stick to the next person. the teams will go one at a time just for simplicity's sake, and the team with the slowest time loses. On the Warped Weasels, Chris is happy with all the challenges he made up for each person, so he doesn't want anybody to sit out. So he instead tells the Warped Weasels that one of their team members will have to go twice. Marcy sees this as a perfect opportunity to prove to her team that she's worth keeping around. That way she can maybe hold on to her immunity idol for a little longer instead of having to just use it immediately when they lose. And she volunteers to go twice. So yeah, I think we'll start with the relay race for the Rifted Ravens. And for simplicity's sake, we are just gonna go in order of how they are now, as that's how I wrote them on the slide that y'all can't actually see right now. But yeah, so our first person is Luz, who has to write a 37-page essay about Chris McClane and how cool he is. And the reason Chris chose this for Luz is Luz wants to be a witch, number one, but that's not really possible where she comes from. So her second biggest wish, this is revealed in one of the season 1 episodes, is to become an author, just like I forgot her name, the person who wrote The Good Witch Azora. I forgot the author's name though. So she's like, oh, okay, this is perfect. So she makes a fan fiction about Chris McClane being the main hero of a Good Witch Azora book, and he's like the main hero, and he has like a huge satisfying payoff, and it's peak writing, and Chris McClane sheds a tear while reading it, and Luz is good, and she gives it to Star, who then has to fight a small army of Ludo's goons that he had brought through a reality portal, and are using the 0 point. And obviously, at this point, I'd say Star is in like season 1 or 2 of the show right now, but she can very easily take down this, so it doesn't take her too much time, and she's able to do that. This leads us to Ashley. Ashley has to rope 3 bulls in a cage. Well, she, 1, is a cowgirl, so she's used to stuff like that, but 2, uses her anger that she has, because she's still pissed, her anger that she has, and takes it out on the bulls, and she gets that done relatively quickly. The bulls are scared of her. This leads us to our next person, which is Applejack. And Applejack, I didn't really know what to do with her. Like not Chris not knowing what to do. I just personally didn't know what to do with her thing. So I thought it'd be funny to have her literally have to find a needle in a haystack. So this definitely drags down their time a lot, especially with Ashley not helping, just making mean comments to her. And Applejack eventually finds it, but it takes her forever. Then we cut to Peter, and Peter has to swing around the entire island, and he does that with relative ease. He's freaking Spider-Man. And then this leads us to our last contender for the Rifted Ravens, which is Tails, and he's given a box of scraps and has to make an Iron Man suit. Spider-Man's like, oh, I know that guy. And Tails pretty quickly is able to do that. All this gives the Rifted Ravens a time of 2 hours and 20 minutes in total, most of which being due to Applejack. So the Rifted Ravens, the time to beat is 2 hours and 20 minutes. Then I think we'll do the Crooked Crocs next. So for the Crooked Crocs, Jax is up first, and he has to be nice to 1 person on his team. That's all he has to do. But it's really hard for Jax to be nice, as far as Chris knows. And but Monica Jinx speaks up and is like, oh, what? This is easy. Obviously, you can just be nice to one of your 2 friends on this island, me or Monica. And Jax is like, how about Dipper? And Dipper's like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, man, I think your hat does genuinely go good with your look. Also, you're just a pretty funny dude in general. And Dipper's like, oh, thanks, man. And they fist bump, and that's it. And Monica and Jinx are like, what the hell was that? This leads to Dipper, who has to solve the mystery of Sasquatch and Aqua. Of course, Dipper is Dipper, so that doesn't take very long. Then this leads us to Monica, who has to win a dating competition simulator. Let's just say she wins. Basically how the dating competition simulator works is she is placed against 3 other girls, and those 4 girls have to compete to win the love of the guy. And if that sounds familiar to you, because you know how her series goes, you can kind of understand what happens to those 3 girls. Now, it's very grotesque, but what happens is it cuts to confessional after she wins incredibly easily. And she's like, it's weird. I got so obsessed with, I have to say senpai because that's the only name that he's referred to by her. I got so obsessed with senpai, but now I didn't feel anything towards that other guy on the screen. And I haven't even been feeling anything towards senpai recently. I don't really know what's going on with me right now, because she's literally good. Like, that doesn't really make sense, because her AI is to be in love with that character. So yeah, she's kind of confused. This leads us to Jinx, who has to win a fight against Fang, the shark that tortured Scott all of those years ago. She pretty easily does that. But then we get to the one that is really gonna drag him down, and that is Foxy's. Not Fritz, Foxy's. And Chris says, because everybody knows it at this point, so Chris says, you have to escape Jinx's hot wire. And this is a very painful task, but he eventually is able to separate his soul from the body, just like he does whenever they're chasing William around the place. And the animatronic falls over, and he's just like floating there, and Chris is like, good enough, but that took a very long time. It's very painful, and the soul glares at Jinx. Then it leads to our last person, which is Izuku, and this one also takes a while, because all Izuku has to do is lift 100 pounds, and while Izuku is trying to lift these 100 pounds, then he is not able to do it, because he's incredibly weak. He's not able to do it, and he's like on the verge of tears. And then all of a sudden, Dipper's trying to comfort him, but he doesn't listen to Dipper, because Dipper was a dick to him. And all of a sudden, Monica is like, starts encouraging him. It's like, you got this. I believe in you. Yada yada yada. And Izuku, seeing Monica of all people say this, is encouraged and ends up lifting it a whole 3 inches off the ground. And Izuku's like, or Chris is like, good enough. Jinx is like really confused, and honestly Jax and Dipper and the soul of Fritz, because the animatronic is just sitting there on the ground still, and the soul's just floating around with him at this point. He can't really talk, he can't really do anything, he's just floating around, glaring at Jinx. So, Jinx is like, what the was that? And Monica's like, well, we gotta get a good time, and after what you did to Fritz over there, that already dragged our time down so much. And Jax and Dipper are like, yeah, that's definitely why you did that. And Monica is like, whatever. So this gives them a final time of 3 hours and 37 minutes. Yes, W37. So right now the Rifted Ravens are currently safe, but that could all change if the Warped Weasels screw up too much. So yeah, this leads us to the Warped Weasels, where our first person is Ezekiel. Ezekiel has to hit a bullseye with a bow and arrow. The reason he got this is because his audition tape, he tries to do that and gets his mother. So he's incredibly bad at it, and it takes him a long time, but probably the longest out of anybody on his team to do theirs. Well, maybe. But he eventually hits the bullseye. Then we move to Toph, who no, this is the one that takes the longest. This is evil. Toph is told that she has to beat 1-1 of Super Mario, and Jax says, because they're all watching from the sidelines, Jax says, "Are you kidding me? That's so easy. I could do that blindfolded." And and freaking Dipper nudges him in the arm and is like, "Dude, she's blind." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." So Toph is it takes Toph a very long time, but Toph eventually is able to like kind of make a map of the layout in her head just from dying over and over again and listening to the sounds, although she rages a lot, and eventually barely beats the level. So yeah, this leads to In, who has to go through 10 flaming rings that get progressively smaller. He has to fly through them, and he's able to get through the first like 8 relatively easily, but the final the 9th one is kind of hard for him to get through, and then the last one is like extremely small. So what he does is he flies down, gets Scary Girl, and gets a hatchet from Chef's old shed, because Chef Hatchet, of course he's gonna have a hatchet, and basically he tells Scary Girl to start chopping him up because it's like incredibly small. There's no way he could fit through it. So Scary Girl on his back, she's like not sure about it at first, but he tells her he can heal from anything. He's been decapitated before and it was fine. So she starts just chopping parts of him off and throwing them through the thing. But then she's like, "How the hell am I supposed to get down?" And he's like, "Just chop off my wings, and then they can be used as your own wings. They're with like some nanobot technology." I know that's probably not a thing in the actual show, but this isn't the actual show. This is my show. So Scary Girl's got the wings, and she's hyped about that. And everyone's like, "Well, that's just terrifying," because she's got the big murder drone wings. And she keeps throwing all of N's parts through, and eventually she who's a lot thinner than N, like wraps up the wings around her and flies through the thing, and that counts for N's wings, and then she flies down, and just as the body of N, which she already threw, has just finished regrowing all its limbs, it regrows the head, and like reboots whatever. So N is back, and his is done. This then leads to Scary Girl Lauren, who just after doing that has to go through an obstacle course on a jackhammer and grab her fake skull at the end, just like her elimination episode in season 1 of 32. She does this with relative ease. It's just like a muddy course with like some stuff popping up. Nothing too crazy. And then this leads to Marcy, who has to do hers twice. And she has to solve 2 insane math equations. She's doing pretty good because she's a genius, but she eventually gets stumped on the second one, and she's like really stressed out because she knows if she loses she's gonna have to use her idol, and she really doesn't want to do that because that means if she loses again she's cooked. So she locks in, and she's able to do the equation, hit the buzzer, and she when they announce her time, it's announced that their time, mainly due to Toph and mainly due to N, their time was 3 hours and 36 minutes. They beat the Crooked Crocs by a single minute. So Jinx crashes out. Everyone's on this team super mad. And then these four are like super happy. They're like, we knew we made the right choice keeping you. And Marcy's like, woo, this is awesome. And yeah, so that's it for the Multiversal Relay Challenge. Which then brings us to the post challenge section, where everyone's just super happy on this team. Nothing really is going on the Riffid Ravens. That wasn't going on before, but on the Crooked Crocs, elimination is a lot more complicated now, because what happened was Dipper, who's too weak to do it, had Jax help him carry over Fritz's animatronic body, the Foxy animatronic, and they're working on fixing it together. Actually, Jax is just kind of hanging out around him while Dipper tries to figure it out. And Fritz's soul is just sitting there, waiting for it. But these two have pretty much made up in their minds, Dipper and Fritz, that they are going to vote Jinx tonight. They don't really care who else votes who. They've told Jax that they know Jax is friends with Jinx. If he votes someone else, he can. But because Dipper's explained to Fritz that Jax is at least chill with Dipper right now. But Jax is like, nah, I'm in. Jinx has been going too far even for me recently. So that's 3 people who are willing to vote for Jinx. Sadly, Dipper is not able to fix the Foxy animatronic before elimination. He'll still have to continue to work on that. But these 3 are going to vote Jinx. Then this leads us to Jinx, who is sitting at the table with Monica, and Monica and her are eating dinner together, and Azuku's eating dinner by himself because he's not friends with Dipper anymore. He's not really with Fritz, and he's just kind of chilling on his own, kind of sad. And Jinx comes over to him and launches his food in his face, and it's like burning hot freaking ramen noodles because Japan. It like burns him really bad, and Monica's like, dude, what the hell was that for? You ain't even done nothing. And Jinx is like, why are you standing up for him all of a sudden? What's wrong? You like him or something? And Monica blushes and says, no, I never said that. And Zuko's like, guys, stop fighting. And Jinx is like, you don't get to tell me what to fucking do. And Jinx reaches up to punch him before Monica grabs Jinx, teleports in front of her, and smacks the shit out of her. And then so Jinx just walks off and incredibly pissed, and Monica apologizes for Jinx to Izuku, and Izuku's like, thanks. And Monica's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I think I've gone too far recently, and I want to chill out and not be as rude to you. And then Izuku's like, oh, thanks, and she reaches out her hand and she's like, truce, and he's like, truce, and they shake hands. So Jax comes up to Monica and tries to kind of subtly hint at the fact that he wants to vote out Jinx tonight, and because he thinks Monica will be on Jinx's side. And Monica's like, oh hell yeah, when she picks up on what he's saying, and he's like, oh hell yeah, I'm voting Jinx too. And they're like, oh really? Well, we have majority. And he goes and tells Dipper and Fritz, and he's like, and Monica's like, well, we even got Izuku. So the 5 of them are, when we get to the elimination ceremony, the 5 of them all collectively vote Jinx, and Jinx goes home, which, by the way, Jinx voted for Izuku, obviously. So the Jinx goes not home, but to the elimination chamber, extremely angry. She calls Monica and Jax pussies, traitors. She calls them traitors. She calls Izuku a pussy. She calls Dipper a freaking ugly nerd. He's like, that's nothing I've not heard before. And when it gets to Fritz, she just keeps going off on how she's happy what happened to Fritz happened, and Fritz just rolls his eyes because he can't actually say anything because he's a ghost right now. So he just rolls his eyes, and she leaves. And then when she gets to the elimination chamber, Agent Peely is like, yes, okay, you're really good. You're not the person we were hoping for, but we really could use you. And Jinx is like, why should I even help y'all, dumbasses? And because she's still pissed off. And Agent Peely explains the plan, which I'm still not saying yet. And she's like, oh, hell yeah, I'm in. So that's going to do it for this episode. It was surprisingly short, to be honest, for the amount of content I did have with the challenge especially. I hope not too many people were going for Jinx. I'm sure more people were going for Jinx than who were going for any of these people outside of maybe Peely, because I'm sure not many people were going for Elmo, Kissy, or Green Shadow, and there's also Trump, so, I'm sure some people watching this aren't the biggest fans of Trump, and that's okay. Yeah. Jinx is probably the most popular person out of the 5 people that has gotten eliminated so far. Did I say 5? I meant 6. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed. Remember, if you got challenge ideas, I didn't give credit to Twinber this time because I made most of the challenge, but he did give me he did at least inspire me for the relay race, so I will say that. But like, for example, there's another person in the comment section, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but they gave me an idea for a kind of like a comeback challenge, but kind of not at the same time, that I'm going to do once the merge hits. So, and I will give credit to them then. But if you want a challenge, you want to be featured, just go ahead and do that. Don't forget, root for one male, one female, and if that person gets voted out, you can cry about it in the comments. So yeah, I'll stop yapping so that I can do other stuff with my day, and you can do other stuff with yours. See you in the next one.